Hey, my name is David Blue Garcia, and I'm a filmmaker and commercial director here in Austin, Texas. Check out some of my work. I also shot this. In December of 2015, I produced and directed my first feature film. It's an action thriller about a young man who's so desperate to pay his grandfather's medical bills that he resorts to smuggling drugs across the Texas-Mexico border. Now, making this film was a huge deal for me because it's been one of my goals since I first picked up a VHS camera when I was 13 years old. And quite frankly, after 5 years of telling people I was gonna make this movie, I started to believe it might not happen. So I'm really glad we made it.
Yay! Finishing an awesome movie.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the journey in making this movie and how one simple decision to produce and shoot in my hometown gave the movie a life of its own. Now, I don't mean to bore you with my life story, but you do need some context. I was born and raised in Harlingen. I grew up, started making movies, decided to be a director, moved to Austin for film school, made more movies, graduated, kept shooting, trying to grow a mustache, kept shooting, got rid of the mustache. Then I read an article in a newspaper that gave me an idea for a movie. This version of Cast was going to be a mix of slacker comedy and wrong place, wrong time thriller. And after trying to write it for over a year, I realized it wasn't the story I wanted to tell. Beyond that, I didn't want to shoot another movie in the Austin suburbs because I'd already shot 4 as a DP. So I was lost. Until a friend of mine suggested, hey, why don't you shoot your movie in the Valley? Aren't you from there? This advice really struck me. Suddenly the core of the film, the themes, the characters, the story, all started to transform themselves. All because I thought of the movie in a different setting. I had lived in the Valley for 17 years. I have friends there. I have parents there. And I knew they'd let me crash in my old bedroom. Over the next few years, I turned parental visits into location scouts. I'd drive for hours through country roads in the middle of nowhere to find the perfect places to film. Then I'd start asking around, who owns this land? How can I shoot here? Turns out I went to high school with some of the biggest landowning families in the region. And just by asking, I was given permission to shoot in these amazing locations. I had a number of scenes set inside the customs checkpoint at the International Bridge. Now, there was no way customs was going to shut down their operation so we could film our little movie there. So we improvised. A high school friend of mine, now a teacher at the school, introduced me to the current principals, and they offered the entire campus as a free filming location. We emptied out a hallway at the school and turned it into the customs checkpoint. And my old filmmaking buddy from high school even showed up to play a customs agent, and this guy was the custodian back when I went to school. And well, I know a lot of these people. And these stanchions were donated by the local movie theater where I worked in high school. The managers remembered me, so they helped us out. This junkyard location belongs to one of our crew members' families, and we couldn't have asked for better textures. So I wrote one of the chase scenes for a place that I'd visited many times during high school. It's a giant warehouse that sells mountains of used clothes. I mean, mountains. I've never seen anything like it. I guarantee you a lot of the vintage stores in Austin get their clothes from this place. It's the only warehouse exactly like it in the entire valley. So I either had to lock this location or rewrite the entire chase scene, like there was just no other way. So my line producer arranged a meeting with the management, who were skeptical at first, but after listening to our story, they decided to let us film there. And this scene became one of my favorites in the entire movie. Gaining access to some of these unique locations, which were spread out all over the valley, was a huge achievement for us on such a low budget. One of our biggest achievements is that we were allowed to shoot on a bridge to Mexico, something that many industry folk told me would be impossible. I couldn't be more thankful for everyone who helped set this up. And throughout the production, we kept getting more and more help. My next door neighbors, who I grew up with playing guns in our front yard, came out to play guns as extras in the movie, and even brought their own weapons, which, by the way, would have been way too expensive to rent. My neighbor lent us his boat so we could shoot the river crossing scene. We were sponsored by a local tequila brand, and we collaborated with skilled local actors to breathe life into the smaller parts of the film. We even discovered a naturally talented first-time actor and had her play a big role. And last but not least, my parents, both retired, put up with me for 3 months as I invaded their house with filmmaking chaos. So as you can tell, choosing to shoot my movie at home was hugely beneficial. I found that people, friends and strangers alike, will go out of their way to help you if you ask nicely. The worst thing you can hear is no. And even on this movie, I can remember a few no's that soon turned into yeses with a little persistence. So if you really want to make something, put your idea out there, ask people for help, and use your home team advantage if you can. Happy creating.